Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
For those of us that are a little long in the tooth and gray of hair, we remember comedian George Carlin. George had a serious side, and he made some points of interest on how to stay young. Number one, throw out non-essential numbers. This includes age, weight, and height. Let the doctors worry about them. That's why you pay them. Number two, keep only cheerful friends. The grouches pull you down. Keep on learning, enjoy the simple things. And number five, laugh. Often, long, loud, laugh until you gasp for breath. Or whatever happens. Good morning. And those are good words from George Carlin. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot. With our Pledge of Allegiance, call in. Good morning. I love that song. I never, ever tire of it. Thank you, Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning on kind of an overcast Wednesday. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, get ready for wintertime driving. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Let's go right now to the phone line and have a real patriot give our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Are you the man?
I would love to do the pledge.
All right, go ahead, please.
All righty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attaboy.
Right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger. We got to get Roger on the air with us one of these mornings. Over at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley Paul Highway, K&R Rental. They've got everything over there. Man, you drive by, they've got the whole front yard just filled up. And they know all about the tools and the equipment that you need to finish any kind of a construction project. They've got the experience and the knowledge, too. Stop over and see them today, or give them a call, 678-3122. K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West in Hayburn on the Burley Paul Highway. And right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we make our way through the work week and towards the weekend. And honestly, it's going to be nice for the rest of this week. This morning, we are looking at areas of freezing fog. Those are supposed to be disappearing right around noon, and then looking at a high right near 35. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the east, 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 13. Tomorrow, beautiful sunny skies, high of 36. Looking at a low of 15 for Thursday evening. For Friday, areas of freezing fog before noon. Other than that, sunny skies, high of 40. And then for Saturday, sunny and 40 as well. That is your weather for 7th Range.
Thank you very much, Gina. Excellent weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, right there on the Burley Paul Highway. Number to call, 678-3122. And they've got all the equipment and tools to help you out. And you know what? You don't know what to use for a certain job? They've got the information and the knowledge. K&R Rental, 678-3122. Wow, we have got so many good things planned in the next couple of days and weeks leading up to Christmas, and I'm getting more excited every day because next week on Thursday, the 14th of December, we're going to be over at Denny's restaurant for the annual Christmas party, and we're going to be broadcasting live and direct over there from 8 to 11. Door prizes, Santa Claus is going to be there, and register for a beautiful Flex Steel men's recliner. Compliments and our great thank yous to Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, Jeff and the crew at 459 Overland and Burley. It just fit together hand in glove. Lee's Furniture, of course, helping us with our Christmas promotion over at Denny's with a Merry Christmas with Thomas and the crew. And if you'll go into Denny's and fill out your receipt with your name and your telephone number, put it in a big box they got right there at the cash register, you might be the lucky winner of this beautiful Flex Steel men's recliner from Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Whoa, baby. Oh, we have some great things going on next week. Don't miss it. But you can stop in right now, anytime, all the time, at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, for great breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's America's Diner. Also, don't forget, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, doggone, it feels good. It feels good the last couple of days to be inside, and I love to perch my chair right over by the heat source. I don't like being cold anymore. Well, for all your heating and electrical needs, it's Ramsey Heating and Electric. They can keep you comfy. These are really sharp people. They've done a lot of work for us, and they are A1. Absolutely. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, serving you. Stop in or give them a call today. I was listening to the news. How many of you listened and caught that news story during 8 o'clock, just a few moments ago? And I broke out in a big belly laugh because of the absolute insanity of what was being said. Democratic Richard Blumenthal. Remember this guy? Remember Richard Blumenthal? He was the one that lied about his service and where he was, what he did during the Vietnam War. Remember the embarrassment to this guy being nothing more than an liar, liar. And he had the audacity to come out on the newscast this morning. Did you hear that? I'm sure a lot of you that are news junkies like me, you picked up on that. And he made criticisms of what he said might not be the truth by Vice President Mike Pence, pardon me. I don't know why I said Richard, because I'm thinking of Blumenthal. He blows my mind with these idiotic statements. Vice President Mike Pence might not be saying the truth. And this guy, Richard Blumenthal, is going to be the critique of the truth after lying about Vietnam? Oh my. Oh my. What a mess we live in today. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to be talking about Texas State University in just a moment. This is a very serious story, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Right now, I also want to remind you about our friends over at Pomerelle Place. Deanne and I went through that on a tour with Holly. And I'm telling you what, it's like living at home, but without all the risks. Absolutely, for seniors, I urge you to stop over and see and meet the people. And don't live at home alone with the isolation, and especially this time of the year. I mean, at Christmas time, the loneliness, and then also the safety hazards, maybe falling and whatever, and not fixing the proper meals, just don't have the energy to get up and do it, and you just maybe having a Pop-Tart. Oh, no. And missing your medication? Well, check it out today at Pomerelle Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. The number to call, find out more information, 677-8212. Wonderful people at a Pomerelle Place. Yes, sir. Hey, the Burley Livestock Sale is going to have a ripping good cow sale. Yes, they are. Great big stock cow sale next Monday. And this sale, I'm telling you, boys and girls, this is going to be a dandy. They've got well over 200 young cows already consigned, 150 middle-aged cows. And for consignments, you can call the Burley Livestock main office, or you can call Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy. I'd give you all those numbers, but you wouldn't remember them. Just look them up there in the book. And Burley Livestock stock cow sale coming up this next Monday, December 11th at high noon. I mean, you bet. Look up in the sky when the sun's right in the middle. They're going to bring down the gavel at that big stock cow sale at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard next Monday at high noon. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I listened to this story on the news the other night, and then I did some research on it thanks to my lovely bride, and we pulled off quite a few different stories regarding what happened in Texas at Texas State University. It is not only deplorable, but I think it is going to cause, and I say that with an affirmation on it is going to cause, I think it's going to cause a lot of problems with the kooks, the crackpots, and the ne'er-do-wells that live within the confines of our United States of America. The editorial board of the Texas State University, they allowed a guy by the name of Rudy Martinez to write an article that basically was calling for white genocide. Now listen closely to what I'm telling you here this morning, because this is not just something that we need to kind of just sniff at and then just all of a sudden let it go. And some of the comments are very incendiary. Some of the comments, I'm very afraid, are going to be taken to heart by others that are nothing more than chaotic personalities that want to destroy and create mayhem. And this kind of garbage in a school newspaper, Texas State University, calling for genocide on the white race. Let me just read some of the excerpts of this and see if you get as nervous about it as I am. In your whiteness, you are granted the luxury of not having to think about race daily. Your heartbeat does not speed up when you get pulled over and find yourself staring at red, white, and blue light, or the red and blue lights of the fascist foot soldiers we call the police. You don't leave your home wondering if you will ever come back. You don't give a damn. Now that statement right there is so ridiculous. Oh yeah. When I get picked up for speeding and I see those red and blue lights, yeah, my heart races. And the way things are in our society today, yes, you leave your home wondering what's going to happen when you're out and about, some of the kooks and crackpots like the writer of this story. And then he goes on to say, whiteness will be over because we want it to be. And when it dies, there will be millions of cultural zombies aimlessly wandering across a vastly changed landscape. Whoa! The hatred, the vileness, the absolute beckoning for some kind of action against whites, and some of the headlines said that, I got to find this one comment, white liberation or white death will mean liberation for all other people. White death will mean liberation for all other people. What are your thoughts about this at Texas State University? And this is the kind of garbage, this is the kind of sick comments that are going to cause trouble because of someone that is mentally not stable or off the rails, possibly killing white people. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This should be very concerning for everybody because this is at a university, a large university, and nobody, I think, on the editorial board or the board of regents for this college should have let something so vile. What would happen if a writer would call for the genocide of blacks, or the genocide of Asians, or the genocide of those that come from the South, Mexicans or Hispanics? All hell would have broken loose. But it's okay today to call for the genocide of whites? How sick are we getting in this country? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, every day on the program for about, I guess, almost 2 months now, I've had the chance to, and I chuckle when I do the ad because it's true, but yet it's also kind of humorous when I'm talking about Dino's Septic Service in Rupert. Yes, it's really true. Caller, I'll be right there. It's really true. They do a job that you and I don't want to do. No. When it comes to septic tanks being pumped out, or septic tank and drain fields installed, or liquid waste removal, or sewer and sink drain lines clean, not me. Don't want to do it. They do, and they do it. Fast, fair, friendly service with a smile on their face. Dino's Septic Service in Rupert. Call them at 436-6526 or in Burley, 678-1638. With their great big truck, smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service, absolutely the best. Hold on, caller. I'm coming. I want to remind everybody, too, that if you got aches and pains and sprains and strains and recovering from a broken arm or a shoulder or a leg and you need physical therapy, I know the best at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, with Nick Greenwell and his entire staff. They are phenomenal. They help me. They can help you. They can help you get back to being you. Call them for an appointment today, 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with all the exercises and the hydrotherapy pool. Again, no brag, just fact. They're the best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. You remember that phrase? Well, there you go again. That describes this liberal media to a T. Because this is one stinking rotten professor that's got a hold of this stupid, rotten news media and broadcast it all over the world. You know, it's just one man saying this. Is it really true that this is that bad?
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. This is one writer at the Texas State University writing an op-ed for their paper, but please do not be thinking that this concept and thought of white genocide has not been picked up and spoken out by others. It is something that is a new trend on the left and very scary. He is not the only one, Keith. Do not think that.
No, I know that, but it's passed on. The writer got it from somebody, and then he passed it on, or the other liberal writers read about it, and then they add a little bit to it, and it just turns into a snowball.
Okay, now wait a minute. Stop right there. And Wheels, we got a little bit of feedback here. Keith, you're a little older than I am, but when you start talking about genocide, and you start talking in an editorial about killing an entire race, if you will, what does it bear in mind as to what happened 70 years ago? I mean, this is so insane, but it has happened already.
Yeah, it has happened, and it's going to continue to happen. I don't know what we can do to stop them.
Well, something has to be done. First of all, this newspaper, the Board of Regents and all the people in charge at Texas State University, I think should have stymied this thing. Now, somebody's going to say, well, they had the right of free speech. You know, you can carry free speech to the point where you're hurting people or inciting violence or inciting death. And that's exactly what this editorial did. And that is no longer free speech. It is hate speech to the point where you're trying to incite a movement to kill, maim, and destroy certain groups of people. That's not free speech.
Yeah, I was listening to CBS News this morning because I like to know what this liberal left is up to. And they were talking about moving the
embassy
in to Jerusalem.
Right.
Well, the liberal media jumps right on this and says, oh, all the allies have turned against us because of this.
No.
Is that not a false statement?
It's a lie. It's a charlatan statement. It's absolute. Go back to President Bush and then President Obama. They had both made overtures and statements that they were looking to move the embassy to Jerusalem, but they never followed through. Trump is following through. So all the left, with their idiotic, childish statements, they don't know what they're talking about, and they're blowing hot air.
You know, when Trump was running for president, this was one of his campaign promises.
That's right. Absolutely.
And nobody did anything about it then, so it must have been a pretty good idea.
I got to run and take some more calls, Keith, but I always appreciate you kicking things off in the morning. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Caller number 2, you are welcome, but I have to pay some bills. I'll be right with you. Bear with me. Have another sip of hot chocolate or whatever. I want to remind you about some of our Christmas wishes from Snake River Auto Body and Paint at 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Oh, my goodness. They do an excellent job in the restoration of your vehicles when they get a little ding and a dent. Oh, boy, Ken and Dan can help, and the whole crew. They are excellent. I swear by it because they've done a lot of work for me. Really good. Snake River Auto Body and Paint in Twin Falls. And Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Streamline does it all. Excavation, underground piping, utilities, trenching, ponds, waste ponds. They can build anything and do anything. They are the experts. And Streamline Precision 678-9204 wishes you a very Merry Christmas. Along with Pickett Equipment Company, 976 East Main in Burley. Old Santa Claus, Steve over there. 678-0855. The best. Pickett Equipment Company since way back in the mid-'70s, building the best of equipment. Merry Christmas from Pickett Equipment Company. And the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Kyla, at 1177 7th Avenue in Heyburn. What a visitor center. What a gift shop with Made in Idaho products. Just special gifts for you at Christmas time at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce, 1177 7th Avenue in Heyburn. All of them wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I can tell you what's at the bottom of this feelings that these people have about annihilating the white race. People like him are depending on overpopulation of certain races taking over the white race, and this is why some of them are so brazen and they're talking so big, and they plan on someday this country being taken over by a foreign country.
Yeah. You know, Tony, I've got all the excerpts of his editorial, and it's so sick. And this person, Rudy Martinez, the opinion columnist that wrote that, he said, your DNA is an abomination. And goes on to say that I hate white people because you shouldn't exist. When you hear slanderous and vile statements like that, turn the table around a little bit. What would happen, Tony? Seriously, what would happen if a newspaper article or op-ed piece said something like that regarding blacks, Hispanics, or whatever? What would happen in your opinion?
Well, I'm sure the paper would be shut down eventually.
Yep.
There'd be so many lawsuits. It would cost the company so much money trying to defend the freedom of speech. The doors would close.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, there's a real negative here that has to be uncovered. The fact that this person, this Martinez, that wrote this genocide editorial for whites, Tony, I'm saying this, and I hope it doesn't come true, but you know as well as I do, if you put a hook with a lure in the water to get the fish, and the fish being the negative leftists that will do anything for their cause, some kook or crackpot might pick up on this.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question in my mind. Basically, what's happening around here now, I have been through something like this over 50 years ago, and I see it happening right here in Twin Falls.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Tony, you and Mary, God bless. Merry Christmas. Oh, I got to give you the bells. I'll give you the bells this morning. Merry Christmas. There you go.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony.
I'm going to sign you up for a contract. I want you to sing at the Christmas tree at the White House this year.
Let's not do any damage more to the United States, okay? Thanks, Tony. God bless. Oh, my goodness. Hey, don't forget, every Monday at 8:30 on this program, we give away a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street, right on the square in Rupert. Oh, what a bakery. I mean, cookies, cakes, and pies and everything. Oh, my goodness. And what a restaurant. You got to stop in. You're going to love it. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Don't forget our cookie giveaway on Mondays at 8:30. Also want to remind you and say a big, big thank you to Scott Mitten, who is the representative for this area for Keelix Supplements, a very important supplement of vitamins and minerals for your livestock. You know, the colder weather and, the change and the transition going into winter, it's hard on them, whether you got horses, beef cattle, dairy cattle, sheep, goats, whatever. Call them because Keelix Supplements provide the nutrition that you need to keep them healthy, okay? I don't care what it is, they've got a product for it, for your livestock. And stress tubs for weanling calves, all this type of thing. 30% protein tubs, they've got it all. Chelated minerals for better absorption and better intake of the supplements they need to stay healthy. Keelix Supplements. Call Scott Mitten at 435-230-1175. Okay, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about this? I mean, it's got to give you a little bit of an uneasy feeling. Think about it this way, that not only this jackass, Rudy Martinez, that wrote this story, but others that have either preceded him or are thinking of this, and there's been other stories about this, about, oh, you whites, we got to have genocide against you, etc. Woo! Big charges. And the rhetoric is such that it does give you a cause to pause and think about the negativity that's being spread all around the world. Just because you're white. Just because you may have a good job. Just because you are a community leader, just because you may be involved in a very substantial and well-run business, just because you might be a white athlete, just because you're white, they're coming after you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, what I like about my sponsors and my advertisers, they're right up front, honest about everything they do and how they serve you. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about the urgent cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley at 382 North Overland in Burley, Urgent Care of Jerome on West Avenue A, and Urgent Care of Twin Falls on Addison Avenue East. I'm telling you, they really are trying to save you money. Why not just pay for the services that you need when you go to the urgent care? And that's exactly what's going to happen. You are treated and you pay for what you need and not anything else. They really want to try to cut costs. Urgent Care of Twin Falls, Jerome, and Riverview and Burley can take care of 96% of all your health care needs, and you get treated not seated. There's no appointment necessary. Open 7 days a week with extended hours, always with a qualified provider on staff. Please remember the urgent care serving you. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Urgent Care of Jerome, and Urgent Care of Twin Falls. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I just barely tuned in, so hopefully I'm talking about the correct subject. Some of these women that are making accusations may be true, but me, myself as a woman, I don't know why they didn't come out when these supposedly things happened to them. I know personally, if a man made advance at me, and I'm an older person, whether it be in my younger days or whether it be now, if he made an advance at me that I didn't want an advance, he would be kicked where it might hurt pretty bad, slapped. If I lost my job, there's other jobs. But I don't believe in this going years later and causing all these problems for people. Just handle it when it happens.
Well,
handle it yourself at all possible.
Absolutely. We were not talking about that, but I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's a subject matter that needs to be addressed in relationship to what's going on with all the sexual abuse allegations and finger pointing, whether it's on the media or whether it's in Congress or whether it's specifically with Judge Roy Moore in Alabama, whatever. I know some of these allegations by some of the women in Judge Roy Moore's case. I've heard many people say that they are credible. But my question, and my wife and I have both talked about this very openly and honestly in our home off the air, 4 decades. Over 40 years of nothing coming out, no leaking of information, nothing being said through all the political happenstances that Judge Roy Moore has had, whether being a judge or running for state senate, whatever. I have a tendency not to believe this whole dirty mess.
Yeah, me too, Zeb. I'm just sick that me as a female and just that other women are doing this, and like I said, if it's true, bring it up when it happens.
Yeah.
Kick them where it makes a difference.
You're making.
You think you can't, you can always get back at a person somehow physically. I don't know. It just don't make sense to me. And one of my favorite news person is Charlie Rose and Matt Lauer. It just makes me sick.
Yeah.
And whether it's true or not, like, again, repeating myself so much, do it when it happens.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, and Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice lady right there. Caller number 2, I'll be right there, I promise. Want to remind everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, parts. Absolutely 3 locations serving you. South Lincoln in Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. There's a lot of people that don't know how to run various types of equipment. I'm one of them. I've never been an equipment guy. But I'll guarantee you they can teach you. They got big sandbox out behind the business, and they can run you through what to do, what not to do, how to do this, how to do that. Really good people. At Barry Equipment and Rental, they have all the equipment to get the job done right. Equipment rentals and retail equipment sales. So what are you waiting for? Get a hold of them today. Barry Equipment and Rental in Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. You have to look at the original source. When anything comes from New York Times, CNN, the Washington Post, I put up a big red flag because those people have been trying to destroy this country. Not just Roy Moore, but obviously Roy Moore in the Senate would be, he would be such a loud voice for us, for the American culture, for the things that made this country great, going back to our founding fathers. And so they can't have that. But the fact that he's run for how many public office,
and all of a sudden, here's these allegations, and I was really upset, and I let Senator Risch know about it by phone call and email that he was part of the mob. These people just said allegations. Don't we believe in due process in this country?
Yeah.
I mean, if an allegation is you're guilty, I mean, judge, jury, and executioner, and Risch, being a lawyer, should know better than to jump in the fray. Now, all of a sudden, they're backpedaling, and, and the Republican National Committee is backing him because they realize these allegations are mostly, if not all, totally untrue.
Yeah.
And Roy Moore would be a wonderful senator, and a loud noise and standing on the podium for what you and I and most of your listening audience out there represent is the American values of honesty and the Ten Commandments. And he's one that's a fighter, and they do not want him in there in any which way, and they're going to do everything they can to destroy him and Trump, of course, along the way.
I'm going to comment on this further. I got to get a commercial in here real quick, Adrian, and I'm glad you brought up those points, and I'm going to talk about those in just a minute. Thank you for your call, and have a really good day.
And these people are trying to destroy us, and the media runs the Democratic Party.
I agree.
And so, anyway, have a great day and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. The same to you. Right after I get back from a quick commercial break here, I'm going to just say something in regards to what Adrian had just mentioned a moment ago. And I want to remind you, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant next week on Thursday for the Denny's annual Christmas party. Thursday, December 14th from 8 to 11, broadcasting live over there. Door prizes, Santa Claus is going to be there, and you can register for Elise Furniture, Floors, and More. Beautiful Flex Steel men's recliner. You can stop in today and register for it. Just have breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Denny's and put your name on the receipt with your phone number, and you might be the lucky winner. Oh, we're going to have fun on next Thursday, Denny's annual Christmas party, America's Diner, next Thursday, December 14th. In a comment about Judge Roy Moore, I have been very hesitant, with good reason, to say pro or con about Judge Roy Moore, purely for some of the reasons that Adrian just mentioned on the telephone. A, all the facts are not in. B, we have not seen anything more than allegations, and I'm not going to form a public opinion or a popular opinion just to go along with the crowd as to whether he is innocent and or guilty. In this country, you are supposedly innocent until proven guilty. And like Adrian said, not guilty just because of an allegation. However, on the other side of the coin, if these allegations prove to be true, I will be the first one on this program to lead the charge against Judge Roy Moore. And not only denigrate and ask for his so-called political head on a platter, but also to make sure that he never runs for office ever again for anything other than maybe dog catcher. But if the man is innocent, and these allegations prove to be completely false and politically partisan driven to hurt somebody or hurt their reputation, boy, I'm going to go after them with all the power I have with the various people around the United States to see that perhaps legal action can be taken against these people and they're put in jail. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to do the weather, and then I'm going to talk to you about your Christmas tree, and don't think this is just a milquetoast segment, and what you're going to put up on top of your tree. You're not going to believe this. Here's the weather right now, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Dr. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. Oh, Christmas around the corner, and you want to hear what everybody's saying. You want to sing the carols. You want to hear the people next to you. Oh, you'd better get in there to Mount Harrison and get a hearing screening so you can enjoy this Christmas season. That's right. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. Right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we make our way through the work week and towards the weekend, and honestly, it's going to be nice for the rest of this week. This morning, we are looking at areas of freezing fog. Those are supposed to be disappearing right around noon, and then looking at a high right near 35. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the east, 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 13. Tomorrow, beautiful sunny skies, high of 36, looking at a low of 15 for Thursday evening. For Friday, areas of freezing fog before noon. Other than that, sunny skies, high of 40, and then for Saturday, sunny and 40 as well. That is your weather for 7th AM.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, the best. She knows all about sound and hearing. The Doctor of Audiology, Christine Pickup. And they're right across from the emergency room of the Minidoka Hospital. Call for an appointment, 312-0957. Before I tell you this story about what to put on top of your tree, I want to remind you the Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have a great big sale this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. It's going to be at 4022 North, 1100 East of Buell. It's the Kenny and Shan Blick auction. Oh, my goodness. They're going to have all kinds of horse trailers, farm equipment, pickups. They're going to have lawn and garden and miscellaneous items there. It's really going to be a good sale. Good sale managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys can sell them all. For more information about this sale coming up Saturday, December 9th at 11 o'clock, Kenny and Shan Blick Auction, call Joe at 539-0111. Going to be a good one. When I heard this story, I'm starting to giggle, and I'm afraid I'm going to laugh through this whole thing. But there is a company called Women to Look Up To. And they have made a top-of-the-tree ornament with various women that you should put on the top of your tree and look up to. Here are the three that they have made, little glass figurines to put right up on the top of that tree. Serena Williams, Beyonce, and Hillary Clinton. You got to be careful here. Now, these figurines are made of the highest grade plaster, and they are sold from some as low as $108, depending on the size, and some as high as $945. Now, I am looking at a picture of the figurine made of Hillary Clinton. My lovely bride pulled this off for me this morning off the internet after I'd heard this story. And here is a figurine of Hillary wearing a one-piece kind of a bathing suit with angel wings, holding a microphone. And you put this figurine right on the top portion of the Christmas tree. And to be very honest with you, there's a lot of people that have as much disdain and disrespect for Hillary as I do. And putting this figurine of Hillary up on top of the Christmas tree might be an enjoyable experience. Enough said. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. While I'm waiting for your phone call, I also want to remind you about our dear friend Kevin over at, of course, Certified Pest Control, 312-8577. Certified Pest Control, they've been in business for a long time, getting rid of the nasty parts of our life, and that's the mice and the voles and everything else. Oh, yes. They do a great job, fantastic job. I highly urge you to call them today if you've got a problem with those pests. They can help. 312-8577, Certified Pest Control. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. I didn't mean to chase everybody off with that story, so give me a call, 436-2244. Hillary as an angel on your Christmas tree? Really? Oh, my, let's see what else have we got. Do you realize, here's something else scary to think about along with having Hillary on top of your Christmas tree. 65% of the millennials that were polled, they absolutely are going to vote in favor of getting rid of capitalism, and they hate America, and they will absolutely vote far left in their future elections. 65%. These are the kids. These are the kids that are going to be taking over the leadership of this country in the next 10, 15 years. And I was scared when I told you that yesterday on the radio, but now, I mean, that's a lot of kids that have got their head completely turned around. They don't know anything. They've never worked for anything. They don't do anything, but yet they're against America and capitalism. Wow, we got a lot to worry about. Let's see what else have I got here. Oh, this one here, another Christmas story before I leave this morning. Gene Autry would turn over in his grave. The Huffington Post last Saturday published a hit job on the movie Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know that cartoon? My goodness. The Huffington Post accused the film of being racist, sexist, full of homophobia, and every sort of bigotry. You know, where does it end? Now they're attacking Rudolph. Now they're attacking Gene Autry and his song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And then, of course, a movie that was made, a cartoon that was made about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And these left knotheads, jugheads, are trying to say that, oh, you can't let your kids watch this because it's full of racism, sexism, homophobia, and all kinds of bigotry. Good morning, caller. Please help me understand what's going on in this world. It's nuts.
Well, Zeb, I'm sorry to call back, but I just couldn't help it. Our education system at all levels, I mean, the garbage that our kids are being fed on a daily basis, and it's garbage. It's all about destroying this country. And, you know, what really, I guess the solution is, there's still enough Christians out there with God-fearing understanding of the Bible and the Ten Commandments. But here's what I hear over Thanksgiving, talking to some people.
Real quick, Adrian.
You know, I believe, you know, in what we're conservative principles and so forth. But I asked the question, so how many times have you picked up the phone to call our elected representatives or send an email and they just get a blank look on your face?
Absolutely.
Or write a letter to the editor.
Yep.
I mean, this is the problem.
Yep.
A lot of people understand exactly what you're saying and what I've been saying for years as well, but they don't want to get involved because it's, you know, politics is dirty. Well, I'll tell you, we're losing because the Christians are sitting back and letting it happen.
I agree with you.
A little bit forceful, but I talked to more than one person. They just want to sit back and let a handful of us try to keep this country afloat. And we got the greatest country in the history of the world, and it's being destroyed because of apathy.
I agree with that. I've got another.
That's what we believe.
Hey, I agree with you, Adrian. I got another call to get in before the end of the hour, and I'm going to pick up on some of your points. Thank you, sir, and again, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. He's right on. He's right on. Apathy is what's causing all the problems. Caller, real quick. I've only got about a minute and a half left.
Zeb, wouldn't that be a Halloween decoration? I wouldn't even want to put them up on a totem pole or on a scarecrow.
Yeah, but think about the enjoyment that you would have, and I'm going to be really careful about how I phrase this. Think about the enjoyment you'd have of putting Hillary on the top of that tree. Think of what might go through your mind. Bob, that's all I'm going to say. Merry Christmas to you.
Okay, happy Halloween. Bye.
Okay, goodbye. Caller, real quick, 30 seconds. That's all I've got. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Clarence. I've got the solution for this silly Christmas tree topping. What you do is take a piece of wire, run it up where it fits on the Christmas tree. You dip it in some of this blue smelly stuff. You put a hook on the other end of the wire, and you stick it in your toilet as a toilet cleaner.
Okay. All right, Clarence. God bless you, man. Thanks. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Oh, I tell you what, there's no end to what the idiocy and idiotic movements and writings and everything else on the left. Hey, get ready for wintertime driving at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where doing the right thing matters. All the time, anytime. I'll tell you what, they've got all the tires to get through the snow, the yuck, the muck, the ice, everything. And for your car, your pickup, your SUV, oh yeah, you check it out today. Stop in and see any one of the 7 locations. The best in brake service, the best in front end alignments and shocks and struts, and the best in batteries. You turn that key and vroom, you're off and running. They've got some good ones right there with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yes, sir. The best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news? Oxymoron for me, but I'll try. We'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you and urging you to get ready for wintertime driving. And don't forget, too, Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Let's hear from them.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Oh, my goodness, you better get on the route service and have your garbage picked up. I'll tell you, because in not too many weeks, you're going to have all the relatives over there. You're going to have all your friends over there for cookie Christmas parties, and you're going to have all the great big doings and the wrapping and the boxes from Christmas. Oh, my goodness, they'll come by and pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Give them a call, 734-6969. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Absolutely. Hey, by the way, don't forget, great big Christmas party going on this Saturday over at Four Paws Bed and Bath for your dogs, and you take your Dobermans and your Australian Shepherds and everything over there. They're going to have an annual open house at Four Paws. Yes, this is a fun deal. They're going to have Santa Claus over there, and you can park your great big Doberman pinscher on top of Santa's lap for a picture. Quickly. And then don't forget, they're going to have lots of food and prizes and spin the wheel for discounts and rewards. All of this going on over at Four Paws Bed and Bath. A great place for your dogs and kitty cats. Four Paws annual Christmas open house this coming Saturday, December 9th from 11 to 2. Don't you miss it. And by the way, too, I also want to say thank you. very much, before we get to our guest, for the great people, the community-oriented people, like Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, they have the flexible hours, not just 9 to 5. They're there when you need them. And believe me, they can help you with all the arrangements by coming to you and your community. And it just is so nice to know that people are there to serve you with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity when there's the passing of a loved one. Please call them today at 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Oh, and by the way, too, Merry Christmas wishes from our dear friend, and he is Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. I hope he's there this morning because he didn't call in. I hope he didn't sleep in. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Hayburn, 878-4991. And he says, remember the reason for the season, and that's the birth of Jesus. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and my goodness, we have Indiana's version of Santa Claus. Good morning, Dave Bigo.
What are you saying? Am I getting big and heavy?
Oh, I wouldn't use those words because they're so raw. I'd say portly and cherubic.
Okay, Santa Claus.
Okay.
I'll listen to you.
Hey, listen, Doug, I don't know if you've trimmed your tree yet or not. Dave, I mean, I just got done talking about Doug, and I call you that. But if you haven't trimmed your tree, I have the perfect gift for you if you're not aware of it. There is a company that is making cherubic little angels of 3 women to put up on top of your tree. One of them being Hillary Clinton. Would you like to have one of those?
Well, you know, I would probably put that out out in the yard on top of a spruce tree where, you know, I could use it for practice range.
Okay. You know, this is, there's a company called Women to Look Up To, a nonprofit organization, and they've made ceramics to put up on top of your Christmas tree of Serena Williams, Beyonce, and Hillary Clinton, and they range in prices depending on the size of the tree from $108 to $945. Gee, go buy a bunch of them.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how they do on that. So you need to keep track of the sales volume.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to worry about it. On a more serious note, what's going on with this Mueller investigation? The whole thing is coming apart at the seams like a cheap suit. They've got so much animus involved with the investigators hating Donald Trump and being very partisan. What are your thoughts about this? They've spent over $7 million, and really, for what?
Well, it's part of their process, as we've discussed before, and trying to get him impeached or bringing him down. And they're going to continue to do this, Zeb. These people, the only way they understand how to try and win is do things by, you know, lying and cheating and intimidating and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I know people have heard me say this and they probably get tired of it, but I've been through it. I've seen it on multiple occasions, and I understand how these people's brains work, and it's ugly.
But when you say their brains work, are they? I mean, and another subject that I wanted to bring up to you this morning, and one that I think is extremely serious, and everybody better not shine this one off because other people are picking up on it. There was at Texas State University, Dave, a newspaper op-ed written by a Rudy Martinez that is calling for white genocide, the killing of all whites in this country. This is absolutely off the rails.
Well, it is, and it's sad, Zeb, and I think we all have to understand this, that, you know, there's bad people in every walk of life, you know, every religion, every race, you know, everything, and we as Americans need to keep our antennas up and watch out for this stuff and address it and make sure these people are addressed. And so that they don't hurt things in America.
But what about the fact that when you have kooks and crackpots and ne'er-do-wells like this Rudy Martinez writing this story, it just builds a fire and sends a message to other kooks and crackpots, maybe to pick up and maybe to do some action regarding what he implored in that editorial. This is very serious, because if someone had written an editorial to have black genocide or brown genocide or whatever, I swear they'd be hauled off to jail in 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, probably so. It's just like the immigration, the sanctuary cities, with Kate and that guy getting off out there. Unfortunately, we have people right now that believe everything that's politically correct should get by, and we've got to reverse that line of thinking in this country.
What did you think, though, as a businessman, a father, grandfather, when you heard that verdict, and I watched it intently, honestly thinking that the minimum charge that man would get, the illegal alien, would be at least manslaughter, and he gets off literally walking out of court? What were your thoughts?
Well, it didn't surprise me at all, because San Francisco is a sanctuary city, and a lot of people in that area depend on illegal immigrants coming in to use them for their business operations, and they didn't want anything to happen that would stop immigration coming across. And what they don't understand is we need to close our border. And if people want to come to this country, that's fine, but they got to do it legal, and they got to go through the system.
Yeah,
but these companies, they want to go out and they want to pay these people cheap wages and no benefits and all that kind of stuff. And what's sad about all that is that the unions, the SEIU and others, they're behind the illegal immigration. They want these people, and that sounds crazy because they're getting paid cheap wages and that, but they see it as eventually someday becoming a big part of the population that they can force unionize.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, though. I think you're making an insinuation, and I would agree with the insinuation, that somebody or some group of somebodies got to the jury, and that was a maybe whitewash verdict on behalf of the city of San Francisco. Would you agree with that or not?
Well, I think there's pressure coming from all angles on these people. And, it's kind of in the same way with the Supreme Court and that, what's going on with this current case on the cake, the bakery there in Denver. Mm-hmm. And even back a few years ago when the Supreme Court was going to look at the unions and their neutrality agreements and forced unionism stuff, and the Supreme Court decided not to hear the case. And I think it's because a lot of these people behind the scenes are being intimidated, and a lot of pressure being put on them. And we need people to stand up and have a backbone and say, we are going to do what's right, not what you try and force us to do.
I totally agree with you. And I think there is a lot of arm twisting, and I think there was a lot of coercion behind the scenes in a sanctuary city with a verdict that would have literally tipped that city upside down with negativity over what they're doing for illegal aliens. What about Indianapolis? Give us a little flavor as to what's going on in the Midwest. Is there a move to get other major cities in the Midwest, like Chicago, unfortunately, as sanctuary cities?
Of course, Indianapolis is not, and we have laws here. Now, do I think we always uphold them as strongly as we should? No, because I know for a fact that there are some companies operating in the state of Indiana that are using illegals and paying them under the table. And what people have to understand, very simply, is this lowers wage rates across the country and cost American jobs. And they say, well, Americans won't do certain of these jobs. And my comment is, that's not true. If they're given the opportunity and a proper wage rate, they will. And but we got to go out and educate them and recruit them. And no, here in Indiana, it's not. In Chicago, it's hard to tell. It's a very liberal area, and I know that there's a lot of illegals up there that are get away with working and living there without being Americans.
Dave, in conjunction with what you're saying about welfare and everything else in sanctuary cities, Governor Scott Walker, and if I seem like I'm patting myself on the back over this, I don't mean to, but I'm just telling the truth. Over 2.5 years ago on this program, I mentioned and laid it out in the first hour, my open hour, about how I think that people that are receiving welfare need to prove that they're not on drugs and be drug tested, etc., before they are recipients of our and your and my money. Well, Governor Scott Walker is trying to impose that in the state of Wisconsin, and I think it would be an absolute break through the ice if he could do it in Wisconsin, and it should be nationwide. These people need to prove really if they're worthy of receiving those welfare tax dollars.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, I think I wrote about that several years ago in a blog, and I've met Scott Walker, and, you know, he stood up to the SEIU, the union I beat. He's got my book, and he faced the same tactics after he got my book, and he stood up strong, and I praise him for that. And yeah, illegals, they need to, of course, any American. If you're going to be on welfare, you got to have number one, you got to have identification that shows you are an American, and then you've got to be able to show that you really need these benefits, and they need to go through the process.
Absolutely. I saw a graph, and I saw a little story on the news early this morning at 4:30 that really scared me, and I want to get your opinion of it. Supposedly, in this one poll, 65% of the millennials in this country that have never done anything, never had a job, really don't know anything about supporting a family or whatever, they are all inclined to say that they hate America, they hate capitalism, and they will vote all people with conservative values out when they remain old enough to go to the polls. Wow, 65%, that's a little scary. These kids are about 15 years away from running this country. What are your thoughts?
Well, we'll see if the polls are right. I think the media is, and they control the polls and adjust them to their needs. And then, but behind the scenes, the other problem we've had over the last 30, 40 years is that the far left has infiltrated our education system.
Yes.
And, you know, they're brainwashing these people about how bad capitalism is and, you know, the free market and all that stuff, and that we need to be a socialistic society where everybody gets everything and everybody's the same and all that. As I mentioned before, this isn't about these people. This is all about control. And these people just don't get, they're naive, they don't get what the final agenda and goal is of these people, and we got to continue to wake them up. And I have to tell you, Zeb, I talk to people, you know, when I'm out and about this stuff, and like I stopped at a breakfast shop this morning to get some coffee and a bite to eat, and there was a black gal that was providing the service, and I talked to her. She was 24, 25 years old. We talked about some of this stuff, and she thought it was garbage, and it was good to hear that.
Absolutely. I want to go back to Donald Trump's administration for a moment, and you and I have talked about this in the past. I have never seen in all the years as an adult and voter in this country, I've never seen an administration that has been hauled through the meat grinder with the media being so absolutely partisan against Donald Trump, and now even politicians being so absolutely against Donald Trump. And we're seeing a promise that he had made and other presidents made to Israel that was never followed up on, like President Bush and President Obama, in moving the embassy to Jerusalem. But now that Trump said, yes, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it now, all heck is breaking loose about Donald Trump, and all the left-wing nuts are coming out and saying he's trying to start World War III.
Yeah, it's their typical agenda, Zeb. As I've said before on the show many times, they're going to continue to use things like this against him and come out and attack him all the time. And you know, it really has nothing to do with who they are. It has everything to do with their agenda and their tactics and everything like that. And they're going to continue to bring him down on everything. And I'll go back to what I've said about Trump before. I think he would be better off if he would quiet down his tweets and be more professional in some of this stuff. And I'm hearing this more and more from other people, too.
And I have a tendency to agree with you that I think he would be, let's say, farther ahead politically, and also he would keep his enemies guessing if he wouldn't lay all of his cards on the table face up.
Absolutely, and that's one of the ways that we beat the SEIU. They knew that we were out there putting together stuff to expose them for who they are and that, but we never come out and laid it on the line. And so you could tell that they were concerned, and they weren't sure what to do in that. But I never gave them bullets to shoot us with.
Yeah.
And Trump's got to understand that.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question about you and your family at Christmas time. I'm sure that with your voice and your family, you all get together and sing great Christmas carols like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. What if I were to tell you that you can't sing Rudolph anymore because the Huffington Post has come out now and said that it is racist, sexist, homophobic, and bigoted?
And what was their reasoning?
Well, because of the story of Rudolph. He's different, and he was ostracized, and he was bullied, and that's bigotry, and he was not fitting in, and so the Huffington Post came out and said, we can't have that anymore.
Because people use the same, he faced the same attacks that they're using against us today. That's what I'm trying to get to.
It shows in this letter and this story from the Huffington Post that they're taking an idiotic, absolute cartoon creation and Gene Autry's song from way back 70 years ago, and they're turning it into realism, and they're saying, aha! You people that sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and watch that cartoon, you're promoting homophobic attitudes, sexism, and racism. This is how nuts the left is.
Oh, it is. It is. Like I say, it's hypocritical, and it's do as I say, not as I do, and they'll use either side of a story for their own benefit. And what's interesting, if you continue to watch, they'll use information like that on both sides, depending on who they're talking to try and achieve their agenda, and instead of being upright and good people.
How much do you want to bet, and I'll make a little wager with you, and Wheels, we're getting some feedback here. How much do you want to bet, Dave, that before this Christmas season is over, some group of left-wing nuts that have the IQ of a bicycle spoke are going to come out against the Frosty the Snowman song because he's white?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. And, I'll leave you with this. These people are desperate. They see the far left party deteriorating, the unions are deteriorating, and they're going to do anything they can to survive. And we're going to see more and more of this terrible stuff. And Americans got to stand up and be proud of this country and have a backbone and not allow these people to bring us down and change people's mind and brainwash people.
Absolutely. Now, I would imagine your office is all decorated, and you've got your tree up in the office, and you've got things like My Little Bells that you can hear right there on your desk. And so, therefore, my wife and I, we wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas, my dear friend.
Well, we wish you a very Merry Christmas, too. And hope you have a great week and look forward to talking to you next week.
All I can say is words of wisdom to you, my dear friend. Don't get stuck in the chimney.
I slide down chimneys, please.
Okay, buddy. See you later. Thank you, Dave Bigo. One of my great friends, I really appreciate having him on the air, from Indianapolis, Indiana, the author of The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorstep. Great, great guy, Dave Bigo. Thank you so much. Oh, the idiocy of the left. Now they're coming out against Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. By the way, Wheels, you better be there with your headsets on and microphone. Are you there? Wheels.
I apologize. I was trying to get your next caller on.
Okay, well, I just wanted to thank you. You were very time efficient in playing that song last hour, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Thank you for picking up on that.
Well, you're welcome, sir. It just kind of clicked in my head. I'm like, well, you know what? Because of the controversy, I might as well play it.
And play it more often so we can make the left just cringe. Thank you.
I definitely will.
Okay. I'll take another caller in just a minute, but right now I want to remind everybody about Fairview Inn and Suites by Marriott, 230 West 7th North in Burley. They've got a great deal. Call the Fairview Inn and Suites by Marriott and reserve a room. Can I say that again? Reserve a room for your relatives. That's right. Well, if they're coming into town, do you really want them staying at your house and you can never get in your own bathroom and you're standing there jumping up and down out in the hall? No. Let them say, come on in. We'd love to have you, but get your own room, and you can help them at the Fairview Inn and Suites. They've got really economically priced rooms, only $89. Call them today, and you don't have to share your bathroom for Christmas with the Fairview Inn and Suites by Marriott in Burley. 677-5000. Wonderful people over there wishing you a Merry Christmas. And, you know, the other day I had a call after I did this ad for Ark Animal Hospital, and I was telling everybody not to let your dogs run down by the Snake River because there is a blue-green algae that's growing that is deadly to dogs. Keep them away from the river. If you see that your dogs have certain symptoms, I would say get them to Ark Animal Hospital immediately. And it seems like it happens mostly to hunting dogs, and they get down by the riverbed and there's that blue-green algae. It is deadly. And for more information, I urge you to call Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn, and the number to call 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Absolutely. You know, we have been doing a promotion with Denny's Restaurant and Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Wow. Santa's favorite place to shop is at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I am not kidding you. Jeff and the whole crew, biggest savings, the best values on everything for your home. I mean, if you're looking for recliners and chairs, what a selection. If you're looking for sofas, what a selection. If you're looking for a new bedroom set, what a selection. Dining room sets. And you know what? No money down, no interest, up to 12 months on approved credit. Ooh, this is Santa's favorite place to shop. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see my buddy Jeff and the rest of the crew today. Really good people. We mentioned Denny's and Lee's Furniture, and I want to remind you again that we're teaming up with those two great folks, and we're going to have our Denny's annual Christmas party Thursday, December 14th from 8 to 11. Door prizes, Santa Claus, and you can register right now today up till through December 14th, possibly to win that beautiful Flex Steel men's recliner from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Santa would love that. And I'll tell you what, you're in there, just sign your meal receipt, put your phone number on it. Bingo, we might draw your name on next Thursday. Denny's annual Christmas party, and thanks to Thomas and the crew at Denny's America's Diner and Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Whew. Also, I got to pay some more bills here real quick. I know my guest is getting nervous. I'm coming. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And with all the new 2018 snowmobiles, oh, you can have fun outside in that angel dandruff. And all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides, everything. And that Wolverine four-seater, it's all there with the accessories and everything else, and a great service department at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. It's true. This is where the fun is sold. There's a man that has been on my program many times in the past, and I absolutely enjoy having him on. I consider him to be an expert on wait a minute. Yeah, what's going on around the world today? And I am very, very honored to have Dan Perkins with me this morning. Dan, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. And yourself? Is it cold there?
Do I walk on crutches? The answer is yes.
I'm sitting at Port Columbus International Airport in Columbus, Ohio. It's got to be 40 degrees and windy, and I'm headed back to Florida, and boy, do I need the warm weather.
I don't blame you. I want to give you a lot of praise over something that you did and something that you provided to me. And Dan Perkins is a well-known author and, of course, the author of the Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy. But he wrote a book, and he sent me a copy of it, called Why Can't Grammy Remember? All about Alzheimer's and dementia. And, Dan, I'm not saying this just to flower your nest, but I'll tell you what, it was an outstanding book, and there's a lot of reasons why various family members should buy this book for Christmas as a stocking stuffer. I compliment you on a great book.
Well, I appreciate your kind remarks. It was something that was, I believe, desperately needed. In speaking to researchers, the last meaningful book written, there's been other books, but the last meaningful book on Alzheimer's for children was written in 1984 by Maria Shriver. And this is a totally different, there's nothing else like this approach to teaching children Alzheimer's. So it's a breakthrough book, and I think the two illustrations of the little girl's brain and grandma's brain really helps a lot of people. I'm on a book tour right now, and I was in Cincinnati last Friday to a class of 140 fourth graders, 9-year-olds, target market for this book. I was amazed at the number of children that were aware of dementia, had grandparents, and what brought many of them to tears, and I didn't do it on purpose, is that I wrote this book because I believe that the children, the grandchildren or great-grandchildren, are the forgotten people in dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's. We as parents spend so much time dealing with grandma and grandpa and their needs, we forget to take the time to try and explain what's happening to grandma. And many children think that the reason why grandma doesn't call them by name or talk to them is because they've done something wrong to offend grandma.
Yeah.
That was very, very relevant and aware. I became aware of that in this group of 140 kids. I was surprised the number of children who had lost grandparents and to dementia or Alzheimer's, and were crying at the end of the session. Wasn't my intention. It's that I struck a nerve with them that they too felt like they had done something wrong to make grandma or grandpa angry with them, when in fact it was never their fault. And that's a shortcoming that the parents have in not taking the time. That's why I wrote this book.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't care if you're 6 years old or if you're 86 years old. There is something at the back of the book that I really found excellent, and those were the suggestions that you had to deal with these problems of dementia and Alzheimer's with our older folks. And I really compliment you because, like I said, I think everybody of all ages should read this book and really understand how they can help this situation within their own family. And so, Dan Perkins, I absolutely applaud you for this book.
Thank you so much. I hope your listeners will take it. They can get it at Amazon.com, and it's $9. It's very reasonably priced. It's something that could be a stocking stuffer, but it's a book that the whole family should read, not just the 9 to 12-year-olds, because I wrote it for the family, focusing on 9 to 12-year-olds, trying to help people understand they need to talk about this issue with their grandchildren.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. There seems to be some potential and probable shakeups going on within the Trump administration. I'm talking about Rex Tillerson. I'm talking about Mike Pompeo. I'm talking about possibly other people, including Nikki Haley. Give us your thumbnail sketch, what you think really is going on. Is it good, bad, or what's going on here?
I would say to you, based on what I know and the people that I talk to, it's all bullcrap. It's all fake news. Just look what happened last Friday when Brian Ross from ABC News misreported or created the fake news about the general and what he was going to do to Donald Trump. Stock market went off 350 points, and it was all fake. It was none of it was true. But people, Americans, lost money, at least market value in their portfolios, last Friday because of fake news. When the White House was pressed about the story of Rex Tillerson, the press secretary and other people said, as far as we know, Mr. Tillerson is on the job. In fact, he's having lunch with the president today. See, I think it is another example, and why we have to be careful. The Brian Ross thing was an example of the desire to do anything possible to discredit, to get Trump out of office. These stories about cabinet members, we have to be very careful. Anything that's accredited to an unnamed source from a left-wing media, we, as a matter of course, should just take it with a grain of salt and not put much credibility on it. I mean, part of the story is Senator Cotton is going to come in and take over CIA. Okay? Why would the president, who's only got a 2-vote majority in the Senate, why would he jeopardize bringing in another person and Cotton, depending on your scenario, who could serve the position for maybe another 3 years? No guarantee that Trump would be reelected. And why would you burn an up-and-coming star like Cotton, who has the potential to be the majority leader in the Senate at some point in time in the future? Why would you burn that for a short-term stay with the administration? It makes no sense to me.
Absolutely. But, let me talk to you about no sense to me or you or I or anybody else. Please, with your expertise of knowing what's going on behind the scenes, the Mueller investigation has spent over $7 million up to this point. And honestly, I haven't seen any trees or leaves turned over yet, any earth-shattering information that I didn't know 4 months ago. What's going on here? It seems like nothing more than a partisan witch hunt.
I would agree that it is clearly a partisan witch hunt, and we're learning more and more. When the chief investigator was fired, but we didn't know about it for 4 months because of his bias against Trump and his connection with another prosecutor on the team, his mistress, his connections to other people. I think what's happening is that the bias that Mueller took in when he started to appoint all these people who were pro-Obama and Clinton to the team is now coming back to bite him. But let me tell you, I want to give you some information. All I can tell you is what I've been told. I can't substantiate it because I don't have a link to the Attorney General. But I'm hearing a story that Jeff Sessions, who recused himself from the discussion about Russian interference and allowed his assistant to name Mueller the special prosecutor, is now thinking that because there has been no evidence communicated that there was any collusion, that he may reinsert himself in the process and possibly call for a new special prosecutor to look into the Uranium One deal and the Clinton Foundation. Now, let me just focus one piece of information on the uranium deal. That vote was taken in October of 2010 by a special committee made up of cabinet officers and certain people called the CFIUS, and they recommend to the president either the sale or not. The president can override them, but they're a review company, a review group. Holders was on that group, and obviously Hillary Clinton was on that group. Now, the year before they took the vote, the FBI was investigating charges of money laundering, fraud, and other illegal activities that were being done by some of the principals involved in the Uranium One deal. Now, I believe that having the relationship between then Eric Holder, the Attorney General, and the head of the FBI, that Mr. Holder was informed of the investigation that had been ongoing already a year. And I can find no evidence that when he walked into the room for the vote that he made any mention of the corruption and money laundering and the things that were going on with people involved with the Uranium One deal. He did not disclose it. But here's the interesting piece. Do you recall who was the director of the FBI who conducted that investigation?
Well, it was Mueller, wasn't it?
There you go. Robert Mueller was in charge of the investigation into the activities of the people in the Uranium One deal. He's now the special prosecutor. So the question becomes, if Sessions reinserts himself, will he call a special prosecutor to investigate the Uranium One deal and Mueller and also the Clinton Foundation?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. What tangled web they have woven. Oh, my goodness. I've got to ask you one final thought here this morning, and we've already touched on her name a little bit, but I'd like to go back to the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. She seems like a woman that is not one to be trivial with, because she seems like she will absolutely get in your face and tell it like it is. How much of her personality do you perceive as coming right straight from the Oval Office?
I think she takes her marching orders not from Tillerson. She takes her orders directly from Trump, and he has clearly indicated what the demeanor he wants in representing the United States in the UN, and she is absolutely perfect. And anybody who thinks that she needs to be moved out is absolutely wrong. We need that strong voice in the UN challenging the status quo there, and she's doing it, and she's doing it masterfully. She was a wonderful, wonderful pick on the part of Trump.
One final thought, and of course I really appreciate all of your open, candid remarks, Dan, but what did you think about Donald Trump following through as where Bush and Obama dropped the ball in moving the embassy to Jerusalem over in Israel? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've been talking on that on the air in the last couple of days. There's two issues that really need to be separated. One is the issue of moving the embassy to Jerusalem. The other one is, and the one that's creating all the controversy, is Trump indicating that today he will probably recognize Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish state. Now, moving the embassy, there's already a consulate, so just changing it from a consulate to the embassy is not really that big a deal. The real deal is for him to come out and support and say that the capital of Israel is Jerusalem. That flies in the face of what the Palestinians and other Muslims are trying to do. They're trying to claim that they have equal right to the city, and we don't have the time to go into the history, but the Quran does not even speak as Jerusalem at all. It doesn't even mention the name. So it is not a part of Islamic history to have a presence in Jerusalem. In fact, Muhammad told his people not to pray towards Israel or Jerusalem, but to pray towards Syria and Mecca.
Yeah.
And so they've abandoned the city many, many times, have no use for it. So this is all political. But it's a campaign promise that Mr. Trump made, not only to move, it's two steps, move the embassy to Jerusalem, but the step that he'll be taking today is that he's going to name it as the capital. Now, there are some people, myself included, who not necessarily disagree with what he's doing with the capital, but raise the question, does the United States government, in any country, not just Israel, but in any country, to designate what they believe to be the capital city? Now, I know that the Jews in Israel are supportive of that, but I'm a little concerned, tad, small amount, that we got the president deciding what the capital is going to be of another country.
Absolutely.
The Israelis seem to be very comfortable with it. Palestinians are very uncomfortable with it, but I think that's all politics.
Absolutely.
They wanted it to be the capital of their state, and that was never going to happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I have the highest respect for this man, and this is Dan Perkins, of course, a master storyteller and author of the Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy, and the book that I think would be excellent as a Christmas gift this year to all families, Why Can't Grammy Remember Me? And again, please, Dan, tell my audience where they can obtain these books.
The books are available at Amazon.com, and there's a fourth book of the Brotherhood series coming out end of this month.
Well, Dan, even though you're in cold country right now, headed back towards the warmer climates of Florida, Merry Christmas and thank you for being on the program.
Merry Christmas to you and a blessed New Year. Take care.
Thank you,
Always
sir.
a pleasure.
Thank you. Dan Perkins, and I have the utmost respect for him. And this book, I urge you to get this book. If you have a family member suffering with Alzheimer's or dementia, I've read this book, and it's absolutely excellent. I wouldn't push it if it wasn't. Dan Perkins, really good guy. Let's do the weather, shall we? Yeah, I have to. I'm running a little bit late. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. CPAs that have been serving the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning. And they urge you, it's about time you better be tax planning before the end of this year, and also to get your 1099s and W-2s out. Ho ho! You get a hold of them today. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we make our way through the work week and towards the weekend. And honestly, it's going to be nice for the rest of this week. This morning, we are looking at areas of freezing fog. Those are supposed to be disappearing right around noon. And then looking at a high right near 35. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the east, 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 13. Tomorrow, beautiful sunny skies, high of 36. Looking at a low of 15 for Thursday evening. For Friday, areas of freezing fog before noon. Other than that, sunny skies, high of 40. And then for Saturday, sunny and 40 as well. That is your weather for 7th to
I tell you what, thank you, Gina. We appreciate it. Weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And if you want the best for your taxes, you make an appointment with Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company today. Absolutely, they thank everyone out there for their business in this past year. The best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Well, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, to our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Talked to Todd yesterday, as a matter of fact. They're located on Highway 24 between Rupert and wherever. I'm telling you, they serve everybody. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. You make the initial contact by calling them, make an appointment. They will help you. 436-4424. Very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. Really nice people. All right, taking care of that. Oh, I got to tell you about a big stock cow sale. Then I'll take some more of your calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is going to be in addition to what they normally do on Thursdays. They're going to have another big stock cow sale at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard next Monday, December 11th. Now, here's the deal. They are taking consignments right now. You better call and consign. They already have, I think, over 200 young cows, 150 middle-aged cows. They've got cows of all ages. Excuse me. And this is going to be a ripping good sale at 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley next Monday at high noon. And be sure and get a hold of Merv May, Lance Udy, Kay Draghi. All of them can help you with the cow sale they're going to have this next Monday, December 11th. Big stock cow sale at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Don't you miss it. It's going to be a dandy. All right, your appreciative calls right now. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Again, I want to reiterate that we are going to be over at Denny's Restaurant next Thursday for the entirety of our program. On Thursday, December 14th, from 8 to 11, we're going to be broadcasting, as we have for the last 2 or 3 years over there, for our big Denny's annual Christmas party. And Santa Claus is going to be there, door prizes, and register, like I said a few minutes ago, for that Lee's Furniture, Floors and More beautiful Flex Steel men's recliner. You just sign your receipt with your name and your telephone number, and you might be the lucky winner. Get into Denny's, America's Diner. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Guy can't even sleep in peace this morning.
Hey, I have a question for you that inquiring minds want to know. How come it is that when I went by your business last night, well after hours, there was a blinking light that said open, 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 open?
Well, the guy that closed up last night forgot to turn it off.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, it was open, but nobody's home.
Okay, no, I'm not making a comment. You're on your own.
Yeah, shoot, I was trying to sleep in this morning, and I got phone calls, and the search and rescue come down to see if I was okay.
Well, we were worried about you, Dougie.
Hey, you've done great getting verbs and adjectives right when you were talking about that Hillary deal to go on top of a tree.
I was a little bit sweaty and a little bit nervous because the cowboy in me was trying to come out and jump out of my mouth, but I was afraid for the net result.
Well, it scared me because when I first seen that was the first thing that come to mind.
I love it. Oh, dear. But aren't you going to go and buy one for $945?
No.
Okay. I just thought I'd check. But
I wouldn't buy one for 9 cents.
I don't think I'd reach.
Maybe I would, and then put it out there in about 100 yards and see what my 22-250 will do.
You know, can you imagine, though, seriously, I've got a picture of what she looks like on top of the tree, and believe me, they've got her looking like she is a real hot mama, and nothing like the current state of affairs with Hillary Clinton at all, let me tell you that.
Well, don't you have a mirrored home like that? When you look in it, you look like you're in your 30s?
Nope. I can't find one. All the gray hair on my mustache and the wrinkles and everything, they're there, man. 70 years of being ridden hard and put up wet.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. I got to run to the news. But
the one I seen must have been G-rated because she was in a white gown and had the angel wings.
Oh, no, this is
the one of Michelle Obama also.
Really?
A white gown and angel wings.
Really? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Unless the picture, it looks like Hillary's face, but unless they're trying to say that that's Beyonce, I don't know, but it sure looks like Hillary's face. My goodness. I'll have to do some more research on a highly motivating news story. Thank you, Doug. God bless you, man.
Yeah, but, you know, America needs to really pay attention to this Mueller investigation because personally, and I've heard other people say this too, and I agree with them, that it's basically a silent coup to take over. It's scary. I watch it all. I try to stay up on it all.
Yeah.
And one thing that really...
Hey, I got to run to the news, Doug. I'm running right up against the... got to run, but God bless you. I'm certainly glad you got out of bed. Turn off the open sign tonight. Have a great day.
All right. God bless.
All
Take
right.
care of our senior centers, guys.
Amen. Once again, don't forget that big stock cow sale going on at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard next Monday, December 11th, starting at high noon. Lots of great young cows, middle-aged cows, all kinds of stock cows. And don't forget to get a hold of Merv May, Lance Udy, and Cade Rogge. And it's going to be right there at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Hey, got to run to the news? I'll be back in 7. Oh my, here we go. Hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday morning already, December the 6th. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Santa, for jingling those bells. Brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations say get ready for winter driving. It's a-comin'. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers, including our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Want to remind you, too, that our great Idaho State Senator Kelly Anthon, his family, they all wish you a very Merry Christmas. Here's a man that really cares about what's happening here in the state of Idaho, worries about his constituents, and he works all the time to serve you. Senator Kelly Anthon and his family wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Well, I have just a moment. Christmas wishes before we get to our guest from Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. Absolutely in the business of selling quality seed to quality people, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas from Golden Valley Warehouse, 678-7324. Streamline Precision with our buddy Tim and the crew at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, 678-9204. They can do it all. From dairy parlors, free stalls, robotic barns, anything you need built, they can get the job done. Streamline Precision in Burley. Wishing you Merry Christmas, along with our dear friend Joe Taylor, the best real estate guy around. Buy or sell real estate, one call does it all, to 678-9400. Joe Taylor, 425 Overland in Burley. And last but not least, Clark's for Shopping at 100 East Main in Oakley with that delicious, famous sausage from Grandma's recipe. Bulk patties or links, you're going to love it. And Clark's for Shopping in Oakley wishes you and yours Merry Christmas. There's a lady that has been on my program in the past, and she has forgotten more than I'll ever know about automobiles. She is the car coach. I have the utmost respect for her, and she is now writing for Newsmax magazine. And I'd like to say a good morning also to Lauren Fix. Good morning, Lauren, and how are you?
I am great. How are you doing? Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Oh, you better believe it, and the same right back at you. Merry Christmas. I'm one of these old Santa Clauses that just loves this time of year. I got to tell you that I absolutely loved your story that was in Newsmax magazine about the hidden costs of electric cars. Are people getting the message? Are they understanding that electric cars are just honestly, bottom line, a waste of money?
You know, it's interesting. I'm looking at, there's a survey that just came out, and people, are you interested in buying an electric car? It just came in from, I think it was Allstate, one of those insurance companies did it, because they need to know, are we selling this stuff? Is this stuff that people are going to buy? And the interest level is much lower than you would think. I was actually surprised how low it was, because you would think, okay, this is something they're really pushing hard. And if I look at the number here, it said 47% of people were aware that they were available. 43% said they'd be likely to look at it, and only 11% said they'd want to buy one. And people that do buy electric vehicles don't like to be tethered to a cord. It takes away your freedom. And I have to say, the problem is when the federal government wants to put their fingers into what you and I do every day, they think about themselves. They have car services, the people that drive them around. They don't pay for their cars like you and I. They don't pay for insurance or gasoline. We all pay for that for them. And so they have no grasp of what it's like to go to a fuel pump and fill up, or have to sit there and wait for a battery to charge up. And so when they're telling us what they think is good for us, they certainly don't have that for themselves. And it's very short-sighted on their part, and that's why I always say when you're going to pick someone to replace a senator, a House representative, or even a local legislator, please think about, are these real people? Are these people, career politicians? And these people don't realize when they want to, add and subtract taxes to yours and my bottom line, there's no grasp, especially when it comes to automotive. They really have no clue.
Lauren, we have a call with a question, but I'm going to say this, and then I'll have you respond to me after we take this call. But I will say this, mull this over. I honestly believe there is an undercurrent reason as to why the Tom Steyers and Al Gores and the like are trying to push us into an electric car society, because the more they push us that way, they realize we will turn into a non-mobile society. So stay with that thought, and I'll take this caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Deb. For your question for your guest, you bring up electric cars. Just a few weeks ago or a week ago, they unveiled an electronic semi-truck. And I'm a truck driver, and let me tell you, that's a bunch of horse mucky if I've ever heard it. You can't, in my opinion, you couldn't get anywhere. You can't charge it fast enough to get anywhere. And I just like your opinion on that. And the other thing is, all the lithium they mine out of the ground to build the batteries is more of a detriment to the environment in our area than it is pumping it out of the ground of a little hole. So,
I agree with you, caller, and I think you've said a very smart and laid out a good track for her to run on. Go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, boy, we are on the same page. The first reason I don't like Elon Musk's plan with his semi-electric trucks, there's multiple reasons. One, he wants them all autonomous, which takes truck drivers out of jobs. It's crazy. We want people working, because if you're working, you spend your money, and it helps the economy. By taking jobs away from people, there's no goal in that. Number two, the cost of a tractor-trailer is around $180,000 just for the truck. And he's talking about having a trailer full of batteries that would take forever to recharge, and the weight on the roadways and the weight it would take to propel that is quite dramatic. Now, he said, 0 to 60. That tells me if he's talking 0 to 60 for tractor-trailers, then he doesn't understand the semi-tractor-trailer business, because it's not about getting up to 60 miles an hour. It's about getting the load there safely, and you need torque. And so I know right away that what he's talking about, Elon Musk, is a GoFundMe page. He's out of money, burning $8,000 a minute, which is $500,000 an hour, and he's out of cash. They just announced today they're delaying the Model 3, they're delaying the next SpaceX, because he's no friend of Donald Trump, and the president is looking at taking away these subsidies that he lives on. So if this tax plan passes, like they're talking about, that $7,500 tax credit could easily disappear. And if it does, he's losing a big chunk of his income, which is what he uses for his, I call them GoFundMe pages. And just to add a little ha-ha to this, when he brought out the tractor-trailer, he brought out a sports car and said it was the fastest sports car on the planet. And then the next day he said it would fly. And I started laughing. It was like talking to a 3-year-old. And he's going to strap it to a shuttle and send it to Mars. And I thought, okay, now you're smoking drugs, because there aren't roadways on Mars. You just have the car sit there and pollute the planet Mars. I mean, it makes no sense, but he is desperate for cash, so he will say anything he can to raise money. I honestly believe that the tractor-trailer industry is a huge, huge part of how we live every day. Food gets to market, things get places, and without having this diesel power to get you there, and these awesome truck drivers that do their job every day, we're not going to be able to live the life that we live now, and we will lose our freedom.
Well, there goes the remark that I was waiting for you to say. There goes our freedom, and we won't be able to live like we are today in freedom. I honestly believe, like I said a few moments ago for you to mull over, that this is all a plot, a sinister plot by those of the environmental era and also the Tom Steyers, etc., to consolidate and control people into a non-mobile society so they can literally sit back in their big chair and say, gotcha.
Yep, very, very Jim Jones, isn't it? I was at the LA Auto Show, and I sat there while they did an autonomous panel, and they had this lady on who's a legislator. I posted it up on my Twitter account, so you have to dig through all my postings. But she said that in the future, there will be no cars owned by people. All cars will be owned by 1 or 2 large corporations. They will all be autonomous. They will all be electric, and no one will learn to drive. And I thought, wow, this is very Mad Max of her. This is very Jim Jones. And the quotes that she was coming up with, that we only speak with like-minded individuals, scares the heck out of me, because she's more than having a glass of the Kool-Aid. She's drinking pitchers of it at a time. This is very scary. Don't give up your freedom. The moment you do, you can't get it back.
That's right.
And that's we have to be very careful before you allow them to take away your cars and take away your freedom. And the state of California is putting up a proposition that they don't want to have any gasoline-powered vehicles on the road by 2040. And in my mind, that is a disaster. You cannot tell people they have to give up their cars. What's going to happen is a mass exodus out of the state of California, including manufacturers. They'll just leave.
Well, you're talking only 23 years, so let's talk about the economics of this foolishness. They're talking about middle-aged, low-income. They're talking about people that are on fixed incomes, our seniors and everything. They're going to literally have to trash a gasoline automobile that runs very well to the doctor's office and to the grocery store. What are we going to do? Where are they going to move to? How are they going to exist? Are we talking about a hemlock society where those that are elderly just go die someplace? If you can't walk to the grocery store, don't eat. This is a stupid society.
No, it's all autonomous. You're supposed to order a car. You know, the kids will learn how to drive. That's what she was saying. And boy, I wanted to stand up and say something, but I was afraid that security might drag me out. But Volkswagen is drinking the Kool-Aid as well. I'm really disappointed in a brand that really got hurt for lying to us about the diesel situation. And then they bring out these people, all these TED Talk, and you know, this guy from Summit Corporation, and he said all they are is they're a community of like-minded individuals that believe in commune living, and that is the way we are all going to be, and that no one buys things anymore. My son actually couldn't believe it. In 30 years, I've never walked out at a press conference, but this one I did.
Well, let me ask you if you could please...
One of the things that they said was that you would, trying to get this right, you would all share in everything, and that no one believes that ego is anything anymore, or about being self-conscious, that we all love each other equally. I'm like, what? Did you go back to the 60s?
Absolutely. We have another caller with a question. Lauren, I'm going to ask you if you can hold that cell phone really up close to your mouth, because we are having a little trouble trying to keep an even constant on the level, please. Caller, go ahead if you would, please.
Okay, what I'd like to say as a former car dealer, that this electric car deal is merely a fad, and it cannot become a reality, because for one thing, I've never heard of an electric car that's running 300,000 and 400,000 miles without very little maintenance. That's not going to happen. That battery's going to go dead sooner or later, just like the battery in your car. And the other thing is, these charging stations are going to be putting up pretty soon. It will be much more expensive to recharge your car than it would to put gasoline in.
All right, caller, thank you. And Lauren, if you'd respond to that caller, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, he's certainly spot on. When they sell these electric cars to people, they tell them there's no maintenance. But the fact is, it's over $2,000 a year because they're heavier. So what happens when they're heavier? Things that move, of course, they claim nothing moves. Tires, that means they wear out quicker. Brakes, you still have brake fluid. You still have other fluids in the car, and you still have bearings and bushings and rubber components. Without that, the vehicle would not be propelled or be able to drive on the roadways. So keep in mind, nothing is maintenance-free, and nothing is free. Electricity is not free, and the more demand on the system and the grid, which is way outdated, is not going to be able to support this many electric cars. That's why the state of California is not paying attention. In China, their answer to lack of energy or having that amount available, they're building nuclear power plants. That's very interesting. It's like no one has ever learned history, or, you know, and they just keep repeating it. Nuclear power is a great solution, but a lot of people and the politicians in general don't want it. So which is it? Do you want electricity or not? It's going to come out of coal. It cannot be supported by wind and solar, less than 4% of the entire country. And even if there were that many solar panels, we have a huge problem with the rare earth minerals. You're talking about cobalt, which is the worst of them. Lithium, mercury, and cadmium are all rare earth minerals, and they're strip mined in the Congo or in China. And the kids that are strip mining this stuff, they're dying. You know, and no one seems to care about the impact to the environment there. They're all thinking about the immediate short-sighted future of, isn't this great? Isn't this wonderful? I'm going to be green. But let's face reality. That is far from what's going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of batteries stacked up in yards, just like you have solar panels all over the world that are damaged and there's nothing you can do with them, and they can't be disassembled, and they can't be recycled because they're hazardous materials.
Let me ask you this. When you go to speak to various organizations or to various dealers, etc., whatever your speaking tour entails, what do you tell these people as far as the absolute lunacy of only maybe being able to go 100 miles before you have to park that pile of junk and then recharge it and try to make it to your destination before it runs out of a charge again? What do you tell these people?
Well, right now the longest battery available is on the Chevy Bolt EV. It goes about 230 miles when the temperature is just right. Now, I live in the upper half of the country, and it's cold here. And right now it's only about 20 degrees outside. And I have tested a bunch of electric vehicles, and the battery life cuts in half. So even if it did go 200 miles, and you were to drive it in cold weather like today, I would only get 100 miles out of a charge. And that could, as the temperatures get colder or there's snow or any resistance on the roads, be sleet, slush, snow, anything, of course, what it takes is more battery power, and then your battery life drops. So you cannot even rely on that. I mean, with a car, you just go to a fueling station and fill up. But when you have electricity, you can't go and get a gallon of gasoline. You have to sit there and wait. And these very fast charging stations that are not available yet, when they are 440. Anyone who knows anything about electricity knows they put out a pretty serious magnetic field, which has serious health implications, leukemia, multiple sclerosis, cancer. But no one's thinking about that. We're just looking very short-sighted as, isn't this great? I'm going to be the first one to have the newest electric car. Great. But let's look at the bigger picture when 10 years from now you and I are going to be talking about what in the world have we done to our Earth and the people that live on it.
Yeah, and Lauren, talk just a little bit, if you would, please, about the idiocy of the electric car as far as being the wave of the future, especially with a now overtaxed electrical grid that is going to be even worse if the Democrats and the liberals have their way of cutting back on coal-fired plants, etc., and relying on solar and wind. It just ain't going to fly. That boat's going to sink. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It will sink. Well, if you've ever been through a brownout, and I've been in New York City when there's a brownout, and they get their power from a nuclear power plant that's in Westchester, and also, of course, from coal and from Niagara Falls. Now, I can't put more water over Niagara Falls. It can only put out so much power to supply Manhattan. And nuclear power plants, they want to shut it down, which is totally genius move of Governor Cuomo, who thinks he wants to run for president. God help us. And, you know, and so when you've been through a brownout, nothing works. Your computers don't work. Your lights don't work. If you've ever lived through one of those like they do in California, you realize the power grid cannot support it. And this has been proven in the city of Plymouth, Michigan. Now you think, you know, a couple people might have electric cars. Well, sure enough, a friend of mine who works for SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, lived on the street, and all of the power went out on his street. So he went down to the local generator to find out what's going on and found the guys from the electric company down there getting ready to replace a big generator, and he said, hey, what's going on? They said, well, the generator blew because there's too much of a draw. And he said, well, why don't we get a better one or more of them? And he said, it's not the generator, it's the lines. All the lines into the streets, into this entire country, and this he did some research and found it to be true, are so ancient, they were put in when your subdivision was put in, and the lines to that were put in when those roads were put in, and they have not been updated. To update the infrastructure here would be more than trillions of dollars, money that we just don't have. And you can't tax the taxpayer to the wall so that you can have an electric car. Because people in the poorest neighborhoods can't afford electric cars, let alone afford anything that's new in an automobile. And we're still taking their tax dollars and yours and mine and giving it away to Elon Musk, $5.2 billion, and to all the other companies that think that they can reinvent the wheel, and $7,500 tax credits to the wealthy people. Doesn't make any sense.
You know, when you go to speak again, I want to go back to your speaking tour and trying to inform people about this. What's the general reaction of the crowd, the audience? Have you had many people come up and say, well, you can't be right. Why? No, I don't believe this. Or do most people all of a sudden open their eyes and say, holy smokes, we're in trouble?
Most people agree with us, believe it or not. You'd be surprised. I just did a women's legislation group. There's all these women's legislators that were from all over the country. And I would say most of them, 99% of them agreed. The one person who raised their hand and disagreed was a lobbyist. Of course, they were looking for more tax money. It was amazing. And she said, well, you're not talking about our side of the fence. I work for a manufacturer. I said, yes, and I know all the manufacturers. And they've all said to me, every brand, they don't make money on these electric cars. They take a loss. As a matter of fact, the president of Fiat Chrysler, Sergio Marchionne, said, please don't buy my Fiat 500 electric. I take a loss of $10,000 in every car.
Wow.
And I have to sell it for $16,000. There's a lot more of this coming out because after the first of the year, they're going to be forced to sell electric cars and a percentage of their total sales in every single state. Wait for the congressional hearings in June when companies start going out of business.
Let me ask you this final question, Lauren, and you and I have asked this with each other before on the air, but on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not too much to worry about, 10 being really something to be concerned about, where are we on this push from Tom Steyers and Gore and the others to move us into a non-mobile society?
Oh, they definitely want us into using mass transit, autonomous cars, ride sharing. They want everything so that you don't own a car. That's what they're saying in California. You will not own a car. And as a matter of fact, like I said, Volkswagen at that press conference, what made me take off my wristband and walk out is he said, this is unbelievable. The CEO said to the guy from TED Talk that we are the people's car. And I thought, what? I'm Jewish. My father was chased to Europe by Hitler. You bring back the Third Reich? I mean, I was shocked. You're going to start calling Volkswagen the people's car? You obviously haven't learned anything about global history or U.S. history. I was shocked. And people started walking out. Journalists started walking out. They were just shocked that this mindset has just brainwashed so many people. We need to start setting the record straight. And that means all your listeners, myself, you and I, we just need to keep pushing and trying to wake people up.
Absolutely. A nationally recognized automotive expert. And this is the Car Coach. Lauren Fix, God bless. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Please come back soon.
Anytime. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. A wonderful lady right there. And she knows automobiles. Boy, I wished I had a tenth of her knowledge. And the idiocy, underline that word, and incompetency, underline that word, and the ridiculousness of electric vehicles. Absolutely insane. I condemn them all. Calls are welcome, but right now I got to pay some bills. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, I mentioned earlier this morning that the Bennett Boys Auction Service going to have a great big sale this Saturday, December 9th at 11 a.m., located over in Buell, Idaho at 4022 North, 1100 East. Look for the signs and lunch by the Cook Shack. And I'll tell you what, they're going to have horse trailers and pickups and farm equipment, lawn and garden items. This sale is the Kenny and Shan Blick auction, and it's going to be this next Saturday, December 9th at 11 a.m., and put on by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. I'm telling you, there is no sale too big, no sale too small for the Bennett Boys. They sell them all. You get a hold of my buddy Joe Bennett at 539-0111 for more information. And also, don't forget again, I want to remind you that we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant on next Thursday, December 14th, for our great big Denny's annual Christmas party. That's going to be, we're broadcasting live and direct over there, door prizes, Santa Claus, and register for that Lee's Furniture, Floors and More beautiful Flex Steel men's recliner. Stop into Denny's, sign your meal receipt, put your telephone number on it. You might be the lucky winner. Go in there today. Yep, breakfast, lunch, or dinner at America's Diner Denny's, along with Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. We're going to send it back over to Wheels right now. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you much. And before we get our guest on the line, I'd like to remind you my favorite place to shop during any kind of a season is Sportsman's Warehouse. Hello, Reese and the crew over there at 1940 Bridgeview in Twin Falls. Holy cow, have they got some great things for you to check out for Christmas shopping. Absolutely something for everyone on your list, whether they're a hunter, a fisherman, or into boating, whatever, all the different departments, and they've got absolute expert advice. And they got special prices right now on Carhartt clothing. I love Carhartt clothing, vests, jackets, etc. Don't forget the advice and all the great people there that can answer your questions while you're Christmas shopping at Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview in Twin Falls. You stop in and see them today. Want to also remind you, too, Merry Christmas wishes go out from some really nice people, including our Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke. Here's a man that is a rancher and understands the land. He understands the state of Idaho, and he really appreciates working for all the residents here in this state of Idaho. And a Merry Christmas wish from him, his family, to you, Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, wishing you a Merry Christmas. And along with Representative Fred Wood. Fred's been on our program many, many times. A man that really is diligent in serving others and making sure that he knows all the facts and helps you as one of his constituents. Fred Wood and his family wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Representative Fred Wood. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and gentleman with the Pacific Legal Foundation, I am anxious to hear what he has to say in regards to a plane that landed in Utah a couple of days ago with the President of the United States, and with a little signing of a document, he cut back on the idiocy of the Obama administration in locking up millions and millions of acres of our land. Now things have changed, and there's been about an 85% reduction on the Antiquities Act in Utah. Here to tell us more about it, Pacific Legal Foundation, Tony Francois. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing well today. Zeb, how are you doing today?
Great. This is good news for me, and I just wish it would continue into other states like our state of Idaho. What's going on here, Tony?
Well, what we're talking about is the designation of national monuments. And I think most people, when they hear that term, what comes to mind are things like Mount Rushmore and the Capitol Mall in Washington, D.C., and the kinds of very specific places that commemorate an event or, remind us of a historical situation or some, very important natural resource.
Let me interrupt you for just a second, Tony. Wheels over at the station, you've got to turn him up a little bit and watch the feedback. Go ahead, please, Tony.
Sure. So, but what's happened with this power that Congress gave the president, starting with Teddy Roosevelt over a century ago, is that instead of simply designating a specific place that warrants preservation under the Antiquities Act as a national monument, presidents have been designating hundreds of thousands of square miles of land, far beyond that necessary to actually fulfill the conservation or preservation purpose. And so what we saw with the last administration, President Obama designated 8 times as many square miles, almost 1 million square miles, as all of his predecessors from Teddy Roosevelt to Bill Clinton combined. And so many, many people, especially in the West, but around the country, experienced this particular heavy hand of government, because when you designate a national monument, even on public land, one of the things that you do is then you prevent, for example, these monuments in Utah, you prevent mineral and energy exploration within that national monument. You begin restricting forestry, grazing, use of private rights that exist already within the footprint of that national monument. And so the president, we think, on Monday did a very good first step in reining in abuse of national monument designations. As you mentioned, he reduced the sort of 11th hour Obama designation of the Bears Ears Monument in Utah by about 85%. He also, this was a twofer, substantially reduced Bill Clinton's designation of the Grand Staircase Escalante Monument
People may recall back in the 90s, Bill Clinton designated this enormous national monument in Utah, which effectively eliminated access to one of the country's largest sources of clean-burning coal. There was an enormous political scandal over whether this was a political favor for, donors and other interests in other coal sources. And so it's clear that these monument designations, especially in the western United States, can be used in a very heavy-handed way to reallocate natural resources that local communities and our country depend on access to.
Yeah. And let me ask you this, Tony, and I'm fairly blunt, pretty simple in what I say and how I think about various subjects, but declaring something a national monument, one would think, oh, goodness, like a Chevy Chase movie. Everybody jump in the car. Let's go look at the Grand Canyon. Well, in this case, when you have a national monument of locking up millions of acres where nobody's ever going to see it, nobody can set foot on it, nobody can traverse it with a horse or a motorized vehicle, what good is a national monument if you can't appreciate it?
Well, so that raises an interesting question. There have been, are there special interests or vested interest in things like wilderness and monument designations? And the answer is yes. I mean, we've seen in response to the president's action to reduce the Bears Ears Monument, a couple of outdoor outfitting companies react very stridently. And, I mean, the fact is they have a vested business interest in selling camping and recreational gear. And so I don't mean to diminish the value and the interest of people whose use of the public lands is mainly recreational, but that's not the only use of them. And, the president's monument power shouldn't be used to favor them. And there's been concern for a while that, that's part of what's going on. I should say that, I think as I started out, this monument reduction is a good start. We are somewhat concerned about the Secretary of the Interior's overall. He released a memo outlining strategy on monuments going forward, and it's possible they will reduce a couple more. But his memo also takes kind of a favorable tone to a designation of new monuments, and we really think that if this administration is going to continue doing the swamp draining, it needs to take a more skeptical eye of additional monument designations. Part of the reason for this is that, like one of the monuments that Secretary Zinke wants to designate is the Medgar Evers home in Alabama. And that's one thing, and, I don't think anybody would object to that. But the way people in the West experience monument designations, it would be as though Medgar Evers' home and the 3 surrounding counties were designated as a monument, and then the federal government regulated everything that happened within it. And, we would like to see the Secretary and the President take a much more skeptical view of additional designations, and also, we think it's appropriate to take a much more aggressive approach to reducing other imprudent or simply, unwarranted monument designations.
Let me ask you this question then, Tony. What would happen, what's the scenario here, if in 2020 we end up, God forbid, with a liberal Democrat as president, and then the reversal? I mean, is this a short-term victory, and it's going to be like a bungee cord, go out and come back and hit you right in the face? What's going to happen here?
Well, that's an interesting question, Zeb, because our attorneys have been writing for a year now, well over that, on the subject of the presidential power to reduce and even revoke monument designations. And a lot of President Trump's opponents take the view that once a prior president, Teddy Roosevelt to President Obama, once they designate a monument, once they act by presidential proclamation, all future presidents are bound by that. Now, you wouldn't think for a minute, though, that his critics on the left would consider a future, say, President Elizabeth Warren bound by current President Trump's proclamations or executive orders, say, on immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is really it's a disingenuous argument. It's very clear that presidents have the power to expand or reduce these monument designations. The issue here really is that Congress, which has the original jurisdiction over the public lands at least, has simply delegated this enormously wide power to the president with the Antiquities Act. And that's been the case for over 100 years. What we're seeing now, though, in more recent administrations, is the very profligate use of this, in some cases for blatantly political purposes. And so everybody who is looking at with concern at President Trump's actions under the Antiquities Act, we hope they would be even-handed and share the concern that every president has too much power in designating monuments. Congress should make the determinations whether or not any particular place should be designated and conserved as a national monument. They could do that on a case-by-case basis. One doubts that they would, fail to designate truly important monuments. And this would take us all out of the realm of this sort of, batting back and forth between one party and the next per administration, how big or small a monument is. We basically take the view, we think it's correct, that every president actually has the power to even rescind monument designations made by a prior president. We're currently suing the federal government over one of President Obama's monument designations. He designated several thousand square miles of the Atlantic Ocean as a national monument, the consequence of which is to prohibit fishing in that area. And we're representing a group of lobster fishermen out of New England. The Antiquities Act allows the president to designate land as a national monument, and yet the government is arguing that, well, yeah, but we could designate ocean too. So we've got this weird situation. We've talked about the Clean Water Act before, where the government says your dry land is actually their water, and then they say in this monument designation in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that hundreds or thousands of feet of ocean water is actually land. So when you're dealing with the federal government, they can sort of say whatever they want and get away with it. We're optimistic that in winning this lawsuit over the Atlantic Ocean monument designation, that we'll be able to establish that there are some limits on presidential power to lock up resources through monument designation.
Let me ask you this last thought in regards to Utah and the cutback on the Antiquities Act as far as the land that was eaten up by the Obama administration. What's going on there today? I mean, can businesses that center around tourism, businesses that center around recreation, ranchers with grazing, timber, mining, can they all start making plans for enhancement, or do they have to answer to certain agencies before they can enhance their growth? I mean, what takes place now?
Well, the actual reduction of the monuments takes effect, I want to say, in 60 days. So there is that period before it actually takes effect. Multiple environmental organizations already filed lawsuits to challenge this. They are arguing that the president has no power, that the monuments, the Antiquities Act is a one-way ratchet in their view. They're taking a position that presidents cannot undo prior presidential actions on monuments. So that litigation is going to wind up playing out. Pacific Legal Foundation will likely represent some parties in defending the government's action to reduce these monuments. But the thing for people to understand is that a monument designation is really a drastic change in the normal management of public lands in the West. The normal management of public lands in the West by the federal government is multiple use. And it's hard to carry out sometimes in practice in particular places, but the federal government's stated philosophy of use of the public lands in the West is that they're open for recreation and grazing and timber production and energy and mineral development and other purposes, and that it is the responsibility, not always well carried out, of agencies like the Bureau of Land Management and the Forest Service to ensure that everybody with an interest in the public lands has opportunities, and certainly that includes recreation. Sometimes you get the sense that people whose only interest is in recreation feel like the public lands are their private park. That's not everybody who's a hiker or a fisherman or a backpacker, but there certainly are some of those whose view is that ranchers and forestry has no place in the public lands. Eliminating this monument designation or reducing it doesn't turn the public lands into the Wild West. It simply returns it to the normal multiple-use management by the federal agencies, which basically gives everybody an opportunity for productive use of the public lands.
One thing that I am surprised, Tony, and this will be the last question for this morning because I'm out of time, but I am surprised there haven't been more lawsuits by people with physical challenges that are discriminated against in seeing and or being on the land itself when it comes to our so-called public lands. They're told they can't use a motorized vehicle. They're told they can't use a horse for their transportation to see the lands. And those folks, of which I am one, a physically challenged person, we're being discriminated against even though we're full-fledged taxpayers.
No, I would agree with you wholeheartedly, Zeb, and I think it's one of the things that leads people to conclude that some of the public lands are being managed for a narrow interest group, which is, say, some of the wilderness backpackers, where they don't want to share the public lands with people who need vehicles or bicycles or any kind of technology to get around, or with people that are earning a living in the public lands. They just want it for themselves. And that, you're right, that directly excludes people with mobility limitations or other disabilities, and it really undermines the image that many try to present of the public lands as sort of America's common resource.
Right.
It has to actually be managed as a common resource if that's going to be true. And when you exclude those who need to use roads, when you exclude those who need to make a living there, when you exclude those who are disabled, that's not much of a common resource anymore.
Absolutely. Tony, you really lay things out so everybody can appreciate and understand it. Tony Francois with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Tell everybody how they can keep up on these stories and more with the PLF.
Absolutely. You can learn about this issue at pacificlegal.org. There are all kinds of, we've got a new and very robust website that helps explain our cases. We provide pro bono representation to property owners throughout the United States. Anybody who would like to support our work can make a deductible donation at pacificlegal.org, follow our work there, and learn about the issues that we're fighting for Americans across the country.
Merry Christmas, my dear friend. Thank you. Come back soon. Tony Francois, Pacific Legal Foundation. Thanks again, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Zeb, and Merry Christmas to you, too.
All right, sir. All right. I'm really glad to get these folks on the air. There's a young man back in the D.C. office by the name of Colin. What is Colin's last name? I'm trying to remember. Colin Callahan. Good Irish boy. And he does a tremendous job lining up the various stories and these attorneys to come on the air in representation of the Pacific Legal Foundation. Oh, my goodness. We've got to get a weather forecast on here. And the weather weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, Don Scarrow and the crew, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats in their retail meat department, like marinated prime rib, smoked turkey, smoked hams, all the buckboard bacon and the bratwurst. Oh, it's delicious from Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we make our way through the work week and towards the weekend, and honestly, it's going to be nice for the rest of this week. This morning, we are looking at areas of freezing fog. Those are supposed to be disappearing right around noon, and then looking at a high right near 35. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the east, 5 to 8 miles an hour. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 13. Tomorrow, beautiful sunny skies, high of 36, looking at a low of 15 for Thursday evening. For Friday, areas of freezing fog before noon. Other than that, sunny skies, high of 40, and then for Saturday, sunny and 40 as well. That is your weather for 7th Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Doesn't sound too bad for the first portion of December. Don't forget our weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, with Don Scarrow and the crew. Oh, my. Get ready for the great Christmas eating with your family, your friends coming over. How about a marinated prime rib or a smoked turkey? Oh, I can guarantee you they're delicious. Call them and find out more. 324-7657. Scarro's Meats in Jerome, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. By the way, too, I want to say thank you very much to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. My, 7 locations serving you with all the tires you need to get through for winter driving, with the muck, the yuck, the ice, and the snow, and oh my goodness. Be careful, drive carefully with the best of tires for your car, your pickup, and your SUVs. They also have all the tire chains. Yes, they do, and the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts. I want to highlight batteries. Don't forget to get your battery tested, and if it's not going to get the job done, they've got a great selection of batteries for your vehicle at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good people. You know, we're almost out of time here this morning, but I want to remind everybody quickly about some of our Merry Christmas wishes from Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. Wonderful people with all your carpeting, and they're going to help you get all spruced up on the inside of your home for the Christmas holidays. Call them at 436-1722. Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Along with Butte Irrigation. Hey, they will get you wet. 2 locations, 116 South 600 west of Paul, and at Red Cap Corner on Kimberly Road in Kimberly. Your Zomatic dealer, and believe me, the best. As I say, they'll get you wet. Butte Irrigation, wishing you a Merry Christmas. And last but not least, our friends with Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 west of Burley. Number to call, 678-9204. Streamline Precision, they can do it all. Manufacturing, material handling, food-grade equipment, conveyors. They can make and build anything. Call Tim at 431-7314. Merry Christmas from Streamline Precision. Right now, we're going to wrap it up and say thank you for being a part of our program this morning. Appreciate all your calls. Appreciate all your thoughts. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06 with more Zeb at the Ranch right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m. and streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. Hey, God bless, and remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.